So today we're going to go over the real reason for tattoos and oaths. In Genesis 4:15, Cain is given an oath. Now, this oath is like the one Otzi. If you look up Otzi, see that word Otzi? Look that word up online. You'll see that he has the oath that Cain had a long time ago. And he is found on a mountain that walked 5,000 years ago. The oath is a special contract by Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh that is similar to having a brand for cattle or uploading an operating system to a computer. It makes the one with a cross tattoo an Ish. Now that's some of the history of an oath. Now if this was going on 5,000 plus years ago and it's still going on today, you're going to have to think deep about this and study the Torah and also know ancient Ivri and biblical Ivri. Leviticus 19:28 warns us not to put marks on our body, and among other things. And Leviticus 22:3 is the ultimate real reason for these oaths and tattoos. There's a special cutoff that is not found anywhere else in the Torah, specifically designed for an Ish, and an unclean one. The Ish will be cut off from the presence of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, which includes a marching away from Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, and for someone to be Iker. Now, how this Leviticus 22:3 Nikrot happens, you have to know a special Ivri Palal. Now, this Palal, I would recommend not only study the first Hebrew primer, you got to study a bunch of other Ivri books. The first thing you'd want to either say, Anachnu is something you could say, but I recommend saying Lanu. Lanu Darash Ba Shamo Yeshua Yakdishu Eben Bayad Shalanu La Yava Amen V'Aman. Or you could say Yehweh. You could say all of these. I'd recommend saying each one of these Shemo. If you don't know which one to say, I recommend Yakdishuing with Ehyeh first. Now, I want you guys to know this. Once an item is Yakdishu in a certain Shemo, that Shemo is going to be connected to that item. When you're holding that item, that Shemo is going to have influence not over you unless you don't believe in Ehyeh or Yeshua. If you mean Yeshua as the Mashiach, and you mean Ehyeh HaKadosh as the Mashiach and Yeshua HaMelech Yehuda, then those stones could still have an effect over you only if you're hemol, if you're circumcised. So the women aren't going to be affected as much as the men. Now, I suggest you do this palal with 2 or 3 people, as is stated in Deuteronomy 19:15 and Matthew 18:16. By the mouth of 2 or 3, you establish a matter. Now, John 14:13, what you ask in the Shemo of Yeshua HaMelech Yehuda should be done, as long as according to his will. You should be kadosh, and having the oil is the quickest way to become kadosh. Or you could do a prayer with 2 or 3 people when you're clean. Make sure you have a shower before sundown so you are clean to palal. Numbers 15:38 have special tzitzit on the 4 corners with a special techelet color. I suggest getting sky blue, aquamarine, and a bunch of blue threads from various shades of blue to make sure that you have that special color. However, when you do these prayers, make sure you do the prayers in Yeshua's Shemo. And the eben that you should have is a river stone, one that hasn't been swung on by any other stone. There's so much more to do to this, but this is how the Yakdishu and the Nikrot begins. And it's the Nikrot on Leviticus 22:3 is pretty much like having a death sentence for somebody. So it should be of a last resort. But I suggest if your town's getting overrun and times are getting tough for you, maybe you find yourself out in the woods watching this on your phone, then your options are limited, and you should try to do the Nikra. So write down the prayer. You can say Anaknu, but I recommend Lanu. Lanu, Darash, and you could say Darash V'Sha'al. As a matter of fact, I'm going to expand upon this prayer so that it's foolproof, so that you don't make mistakes, because you can make mistakes with this prayer. However, is that this prayer is almost perfect, but I need to improve on it. So that way you guys can say this and actually have the stuff to Yakti Shu and keep yourself Kadosh. So that's all of this has been built up for a reason. You can write your own contract with the Shemo Avehia, but I would suggest that you avoid getting oats at this point in time.